and produced two ugly black fat kids. What? Two ugly black fat kids. Let that sink in for a moment. Hey loves, in today's story, our main character, Christian Burnett, shares an unsettling experience from his morning commute on the train to work. While on the train, Christian notices a man trying to get off with his two young children. This man politely says "excuse me" to another passenger, a white man who was standing in the way. But instead of acknowledging him, the man completely ignores him. Now at first, Christian doesn't think too much of it. Annoying, yes, but nothing shocking. Until he happens to catch a glimpse of what the man is typing on his phone. Take a look.
Hello TikTok. I don't usually make videos like this, but I need your help. A couple of weeks ago I had a run-in with this man here. I didn't personally have a run-in, but I witnessed a run-in with this gentleman here, and I'm trying to find out who this is. Basically, I was on the train to work and another gentleman was trying to take his two children to school, and as he was getting off the train he was saying "excuse me," as people in London do, and if you live in London you know people don't say it politely, but they don't say it rudely, they just say "excuse me." And this gentleman here decided not to move, and I will say he had plenty of room to move. It was not a packed carriage, he just didn't want to move. And as the other gentleman was getting off the train with his two kids, these guys exchanged a few words, nothing too malicious, just saying "you have plenty of room to move, why don't you move?" and him saying he can't. That situation in itself is not bad, it's what I saw next which was bad. He was texting his friend and I managed to catch a glimpse of these text messages and I took a photo, and you can feel free to pause and read them.
Yes, we are going to pause and read these messages. And so it says, "Fat black guy shoved me to get off train despite there being no room." Already, this one sentence is loaded with issues. First, he describes this man as fat, which is unnecessarily rude and just uncalled for. Then he points out that the man is black. Was that detail really relevant? Or was it just an easy way to dehumanize him? The way this message is written already feels deliberately nasty. But anyways, let's keep going. He also claims that the man shoved him, leaving out the fact that the man had asked him to excuse him, to please make room for him to get off the train with his kids. And Christian, an eyewitness, told us that there was enough room for this man to step aside. The train was not overcrowded, so this wasn't a case of there was no room. This was a case of entitlement, ignorance, and subtle racism dressed up as a casual text to a friend. Let's continue reading. It says, "and then was having a go. I told him to f off and he said, 'don't swear at me in front of my kids.' Rightly so. The man had his two kids with him, and you as a grown-up adult thought it was right for you to hurl profanities at him in the presence of his children? Completely uncalled for, simply because someone wants to get off the train with their children. You need to go to that extent." But it gets worse. It goes on to say, "and produced two ugly black fat kids." What? Two ugly black fat kids. Let that sink in for a moment. This isn't just about rudeness anymore. It's targeted, it's hateful, and it's just deeply inappropriate. It's all from a simple "excuse me, I want to get off the train." And now we're hurling insults. First at the man, now at the kids. Kids? Really? Wow. There's no excuse for that. You've stooped so low and you're now mocking little kids, innocent kids, over their appearance and race? Wow. And then he tries to justify his actions by saying, "I get needing to get off, but I said calmly I can't move." Except Christian has already told us there was plenty of space for him to move. I'm so glad we're having an eyewitness account that there was enough space. If you're in the way of someone on a train and they're trying to get off, it's either you step aside if there's enough room, or even if the train is overcrowded, you need to step off and let them off. You need to make room for them. It's that simple. So now in this message, he's not only being abusive, he's lying. But I'm not surprised, because if you're comfortable being racist and calling strangers names, lying is just part of the package. It comes with it. Then he says, it's always people from further down the line. Excuse me, what? What's that supposed to mean, further down the line? Is he trying to say that this man and his kids are not important, but lesser, less deserving, not as important? Who is he to say that about anyone? The audacity to look down on another human being. What makes him think he's much better than them? Based on his skin color? Based on what? A postcode? Based on the train stop that they got on or where they got off? This mindset that some people are just inherently further down the line, socially, morally, in worth. It's not just ignorant, it's dangerous. These messages are truly abhorrent and they are just vile. I can't really see the last message because his thumb is covering it, but thankfully Christian fills us in on exactly what he said. And that's even worse. Take a look. And guys, if you're still here with me, please hit the subscribe button and join this wonderful community. Let's get back into it.
Yeah, they're pretty abhorrent. The last one reads, which is being covered by his thumb or finger, just because you're poor and an immigrant doesn't mean you can be a cunt. Yeah.
How do you just assume that someone is poor simply because they're black and an immigrant? And then you attach that to being silly, as if poverty or immigration status justifies being looked down on. It's heartbreaking. The prejudice is so layered. Racism, classism, all wrapped up in one smug little sentence. And people like this don't even see the harm in what they say. It's so casual for them. Honestly, it's just sad. So sad.
Now, I get that this guy is not a politician or a celebrity or anything, and I get this might be a very small fish in a big pond kind of deal. It's not like the biggest news ever, but I do think we should still be calling people out for their abhorrent beliefs. And I get these are private text messages that he was sending someone, but it doesn't really matter if it's behind closed doors or not. These are pretty awful views or ways to be talking about someone that lives in the world.
Yes, Christian, you're absolutely right. We should be calling people out for their abhorrent beliefs. And Christian makes an important point. He said this guy is not a celebrity, he's not a politician, he's not someone big in the public. But that's exactly why this matters. It's not always people at the top. It's the everyday individuals who carry and spread these harmful attitudes. And when those attitudes go unchecked, they grow, they multiply. So yes, this is a big deal. I mean, he was texting someone, he was texting a friend. So it means that this friend also thinks like that. So it's important that these attitudes do not go unchecked. It matters that we don't stay silent. Christian could have ignored it. He could have gone about his day. After all, he is a white man. He's not the one being targeted here. But instead, he chose to do something. He chose to take a stand. He brought it to TikTok. He's saying, this is not okay. Who is this man? Can we find this man? Can we find him and hold him accountable? Because this behavior will not be tolerated. That takes courage. Because when we start holding people accountable and when people realize that their actions have consequences, that's when real change begins. And no, it's not about cancel culture. It's about accountability. And Christian set an example that more people need to follow. He seemed like such a kind, thoughtful person for sharing this, and it just goes to show his character. Absolutely. It doesn't matter if they were private messages or something that was said behind closed doors. They still reveal how this person thinks. And that kind of thinking will influence how he treats black people in real life. And that's exactly what we've seen him do on the train. He didn't say anything explicitly racist to that man's face. He didn't call out his blackness directly, but his actions spoke volume. And those actions were driven by his mindset. The way he ignored a polite request, the way he reacted, and the way he lied in that message. All of it stems from the way he views black people. So no, he may not have used slurs or made an overt scene, but the prejudice was there, in the silence, in the entitlement. in the passive aggression. And that's exactly why it needs to be called out.
So yeah, this incident happened at Snaresbrook on the Central Line in London, and I managed to take a photo of the text messages at Leighton, and then the gentleman here got off at Stratford. So he lives somewhere on the east end of the Central Line. So if anyone knows who he is or where he works, feel free to send him this video, or I can send you the photos and you can send them to them. I don't know, but yeah, I think he should be called out, because that's pretty poor behaviour.
I'm honestly so glad Christian was able to take photos of those text messages, because here's the thing. When you call out racism, especially when it hasn't been blatantly spelt out, people are quick to gaslight you. Even if no slurs are used, even if nothing obvious is said, you still know. Your body tells you, your spirit tells you, and you shouldn't have to wait for proof to call it what it is. But too often when we do, we're met with, oh, not everything is about race, or here we go again with the race card, or this happens to everyone. Excuses, deflections. And suddenly you're made to feel like you're the problem for naming what's happening. Like you're imagining it or you're being dramatic. But let's be real. We know the difference. We know when something is rooted in racism. And without that screenshot that Christian took, I can guarantee people would have filled the comment section saying that he was overreacting or that the race card was being played. That's why this evidence matters so much. It validates what so many people feel every day but can't always prove. I've covered a similar topic in my channel, and the comment section was flooded with, oh, this happens to us too, you're playing the race card. And sure, things happen to everyone, but this was different. We knew what it was, it's just that people don't want you to say it out loud. I'll never understand racism. Truly, I'll never understand how someone can believe that they're better than another human being simply because of skin color. It's insane. And the fact that it's still so common, so casually expressed in private text, in body language, in microaggression, is heartbreaking. The TikTok community is now on the lookout for this man. And if there are any solid updates, I will be sure to let you know. Let's take some comments from this video. It says, good on you for posting. I was giving him the benefit of the doubt when I saw his earphones, so I thought maybe he hadn't heard until I read the text. Horrific. I can imagine what he thinks of women too. We're all further down the line. What line? Someone responds to this message and says, I know you mean well, but part of the problem was your first thought was giving him the benefit of the doubt. That's why racism is still being explained away in 2025. Unless it's obvious to some, it doesn't exist. Racism in the UK isn't loud, it's subtle. And she responds back, thanks for your comment. In my defense, the creator hadn't said it was a black man, and I didn't know until I read the text, but point taken. Someone else says, surprise, surprise, this is how most white people feel. These are the conversations most white people have in private amongst their family members. People think racism doesn't exist in the UK, but racism is very covert and passive aggressive. It's smiling in your face, laugh and make the most racist, disgusting jokes behind our backs. And this is the reason why I would never ever have full trust safe or ever feel safe around most. Someone responds to this commenter, says, I would like to think it's not most, because let's see the upside. It's a white man calling out and asking other white people to call it out. That's got to be a good thing, right? Please don't give up on all us white people just yet. All the best. Someone says, huge respect for posting this. Another says, it's so refreshing seeing you have this mindset. You're a white male who actually cares about the experience of minorities, and that's a great way to set the tone towards a positive future. Someone says, you're a good person for this. You could have ignored it. Nice one. Someone says, let's be absolutely clear. This is happening because black people have been vocal about the racism in this country for decades and were told they were being overly sensitive. Thank you for doing the right thing by raising awareness. Someone says, his private views were being expressed in his actions, so you have every right to expose him. These are the types of people, when you call them racist, they point blank deny it, as they haven't said anything racist to your face, but their actions suggest otherwise. Yeah, someone says, imagine all the private messages that we don't see. Someone says the hatred is so ingrained in these people. Another says, thank you for speaking now. We often see black people being gaslit and told to stop making about race when they are treated poorly. This is a prime example. Someone says, thank you for speaking out. We appreciate you. You're a legend for this. But for now, I just want to truly salute and commend Christian for speaking up. It really does give me hope. Hope that there are still people out there who are willing to stand up, speak out, and say this isn't okay. And like I always say here on this channel, if you see this happening, do not stay silent. Whether it's big or small, call it out in one way or another. Your voice matters. Let me know what you think about this whole situation in the comments section. I would love to hear your thoughts. And as always, please don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Till next time, guys. Bye.